Hello, welcome to Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk Live, the pizza show, because my good friend Hunter over here has paid up on his bet. Oh, I just had a weird moment where I looked to see what was on my computer. I saw the YouTube up and it was my own face. If you're watching us, we are on Washington Live's Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, or Mount Pleasant and Fairfield Live Facebook, and on Spotify we got audio and video. So as I said, we got my good friend Hunter Moeller here, the loser of the office bracket challenge, and we got Nikki Brackets, Nick Steffens on the ones and twos, the winner. And the rules stated a couple things when we had that NCAA bracket challenge. One is that we need to give Nick, our champion, a crown or a trophy of some sort, or possibly a title belt. I looked those up. They're not that expensive, so that might be where we go with that. I'll have to talk about that later. But Hunter has paid up, and not only did he bought a pepperoni pizza, but we got a pepperoni pizza, Hunter.
At least I think they just added extra pepperoni for some reason, but that's just me because I don't remember selecting pepperoni. But
well, I can tell you when I went to this establishment, which we will not name because they're not a sponsor, right?
Correct.
They have the pepperoni pizza, which is sponsored by Chris Murray. Yeah. He says 0 words during the commercial. It's hilarious. He does not say one word.
Yeah,
I want how much money
he shows
got.
no emotion on the floor.
That's true. It's the same thing.
That's what they're rolling with.
Yeah, of course. And so I just thought it was funny that he got a lot of money just standing in a parking lot. But with the pizza, that's good. It's making up for all the money that the Brody Boyds and Jeff Horners of the world should have made back in the pre-NIL
That's right.
NIL days. Anyway. I've had this pizza before, and this is much better than the one that I ordered on purpose. So
there you go.
And
we're gonna help you out there.
Yeah, no problem. So we're all paid up besides Nikki Brackett's title belt, and we're getting into some spring sports. We're gonna start with girls soccer. We're just gonna try and go. There's 4 main spring sports, so we're just gonna try and go sport after sport. We all both saw some soccer yesterday, so we're gonna start with that. And some spring soccer. And Hunter, how's the girls' soccer slate looking after a few games here?
Well, kind of looking at last year, obviously Washington and Mount Pleasant really close. Obviously, I think we talked about beginning of the season. Those two went, 1 goal separated them, or they went to overtime in 4 straight games or whatever. But
more than that, 6 straight, now 7. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we saw that last week. But this week here, obviously Washington and Mount Pleasant went to overtime last week. I can't remember the final of it, but for Mount Pleasant this week, last night, got a big win over Keokuk, 7-1. Really, for most of the first half, it was 1-1, and then with about 7:40 to go, and Haley Parrott scored the opening goal for Mount Pleasant. Keokuk answered back kind of midway through that first half there, and with 7:40 to go in the first half, you'll tell me what Sharice's last name. Is it Awerda?
Awerda, yeah.
Awerda. Sharice Awerda kind of took over the game offensively, and she was a pretty good player last year. Obviously, a freshman last year, now sophomore. Stepped up her game so much this season here early on. Scored a hat trick in the final 7 minutes and 40 seconds of that first half. She scored at the 7:40 mark, 5:48, and then with 22.3 seconds remaining in that first half. Obviously, that put the Panthers up 4-1, firm control of the game. Kind of never let off the gas for about 20 minutes. They didn't score in the second there. But Parrott picked up her second goal of the game at the 27-minute mark, 27:56 mark. And then 4 minutes later, obviously, last year's SEC Player of the Year, Ellie Manning, picked up her first goal of the game. She had a couple assists in the game as well. That made it 6-1. And then Awerda scored once again, scored the final goal of the game for the Panthers. And with about 5 minutes to go. So 7-1 victory for the Panthers there. Let's see. Let me go through the stats here. So as I mentioned, Awerda, Parrott, both had 1 assist. Aurora Hummel and Tori Wilson both had assists, and then Manning finished with 2 assists in the win. So Mount Pleasant sitting at 3-1. Obviously, the one loss to Washington in that another overtime game by those two teams, and the Panthers will take on Burlington. So they're heading down to Burlington to play on the turf. Burlington's 2-2 right now, so it should be a good game between those two. Usually, it's a battle between all of the SEC teams, and it's kind of shaken that way this year as well.
For sure. Well, and before we jump into the Demons, because you mentioned Mount Pleasant. I covered the Mount Pleasant Washington game on Thursday in Washington, and this has to be some sort of a record. I couldn't think of any other high school sport that this could have possibly happened in, but Mount Pleasant and Washington have now went to overtime in 7 straight girls basketball games.
Soccer.
Girls soccer games. That basketball game that'd be even crazier. 7 straight girls soccer games. The last time they did not go into overtime was 2018. A totally different world, 2018.
Yeah.
What was going on in 2018?
I was still in college.
You're still in college. Our office was the old office here in Mount Pleasant. I think Fortnite was pretty popular in 2018.
Yeah.
That was really the thing in 2018, and
I'm sure.
And that was the last time. That was the last time that they didn't go into overtime.
Oh, my.
So they go into overtime 2-2. Now Mount Pleasant playing a little bit shorthanded. Ellie Manning did miss a game for a lower body injury. This is at Washington. They go 2-2. Orta had a goal in that one. And I believe Haley Parrott had one for Mount Pleasant as well. Let me double check on that because it's been a few days, which means I've been to like 100 things. No, Tori Wilson. Oh, and you mentioned Tori Wilson earlier. I was going to say she has been dishing them out the assists lately. And when I talked to Charisse the other day, she mentioned the main thing she talked about in her interview was the kind of passes they were getting from Tori.
Yep.
She scored. And Angeline Anderson and Ruby Woodhoff both scored for Washington. It was 2-2. So getting right down to overtime, and we had some big plays from our freshman goalkeepers for the two teams. First, into the first overtime, Ruby Woodhoff was getting some big runs for the Demons, and she had a one-on-one with Eli Heaton and goal, a freshman from Mount Pleasant. Made a leaping save. It was in the final seconds of the first overtime period. Made a leaping save. You know, it was one of those things where the ball went off of Woodhoff's foot, and it was like, oh, this one's over. Nope, robbed her of a goal. And then so the second overtime goes a couple chances. Then you get into penalty kicks, and these are two freshman goalkeepers. So I thought they're not going to know how to do penalty kicks. There's no way you probably haven't even practiced that much. But Allie Medley for Washington. 3 diving saves on the penalty kicks helped the Demons prevail 3-1. It was one of the more composed performances I've ever seen of a freshman in high school sports, where she just stepped up in that. Penalty kicks in high school sports, well, in any soccer is tough. It's basically completely favors the shooters if you can get it on net. And so they ended up winning that one 3-1. Was the shootouts there. So Washington was in first place for a while, but as you're about to talk about, they had another penalty shootout yesterday. Didn't that goes well?
Fort Madison on both sides, boys and girls, has always been a tough out in soccer, and talk about another couple overtime periods into a penalty shootout happened last night as well. Washington comes out on the losing end of this one after the big one over Mount Pleasant. They fall in penalty shootout 3-2. So both teams went scoreless through both. The first 90 minutes of play, 2 extra periods, no one scored. Went to penalty shootouts, 3-2, favored Fort Madison in this one. So kind of a real tough loss for Washington right there, because they were looking to be 5-0. They started the season 4-0, and now they're sitting at 4-1. And you talk about Allie Medley, 15 saves in the game. So she was put to work, and she's been playing real well. For, as you mentioned, a freshman playing well. It's tough to come in and perform well at the varsity level, and in any sport really in high school. So nice showing for her, but just a tough one. Just by one penalty, there's the difference in there. So tough loss, but Washington's it's early season, they're playing well, and really they've kind of shown that. The way it's shaken out, how everyone's played each other, it's going to be pretty tight. And then Washington's going to head over to Fairfield. And I know Fairfield's been struggling a little bit here in the early season, but
yeah. Well, yeah, and you mentioned that. So along with Mount Pleasant, Washington, and Burlington, who all seem to be, in Fort Madison, who all seem to be pretty even, obviously, by they're going to shootouts against each other. Burlington is the other team that is kind of a team that's expected to do something this year as far as in the conference. They have a lot back from last year, and they hosted Fairfield last night, and it was not the Trojans' night, 10-0, which is a mercy rule in high school soccer for the Burlington Greyhounds. So they got 26 shots on goal, I believe. let me hear.
Yep, that's what you have.
37 shots and 26 shots on goal from the Greyhounds. So they're looking really good. Burlington's only losses have been to Quincy, Illinois, and Davenport North, which are bigger schools.
Yep.
Davenport North, they only lost by 1. So Mount Pleasant is kind of the guinea pig of those upper echelon teams as far as the teams that'll get a shot at Burlington. So that'll probably give us a good idea of where the girls' soccer standings are right now.
Yeah, in the SEC, for sure.
Yeah, and then Fairfield a little younger. They didn't get a lot of wins last year. Same with Keokuk, and so those are the two teams that'll be trying to climb out of that hole a little bit with the other 4 teams kind of not really peaking, but they're all pretty good this year.
Yeah,
I was at a Fairfield boys soccer game last night, and they played Burlington. Yeah. and this is another one. We talk about the girls' standings in boys. We're going to talk about Washington and Fort Madison a little bit, but those are kind of the two favorites. But I think there's a little gap, and then Fairfield and Burlington are right there. Burlington over Fairfield 4-3 last night. I got there a little late because I was at some tennis, but Tate Allen scored his first career goal. He has not played soccer.
No.
He's played about every sport at Fairfield, and he's come on. He's a forward for them this year. He scored right away in that. Burlington scores the next 3, and Tate Allen scored another one with about 11 minutes left. So I thought Burlington controlled the ball for the first half of the second half, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes. And then the last 20 minutes, it was all Fairfield, and they were getting chance after chance after chance. And in fact, Jackson Allen, not to be confused with Jackson Allen, the old New London kid.
Yep.
Seemingly had a goal from an assist from Tate with about 8 minutes left, and they called it off an offsides. I think it was probably I didn't have a great angle on it, but it looked like Tate might have been a little bit offsides on that one, and so that negated what would have been a 3-3 goal. And as Felisto Guzman said after the game, Fairfield coach, 5 more minutes and probably could have had him there, at least tied it up, and it was all Fairfield at the end of the game. So Fairfield's lost the last 2. They lost to Fort Madison. It was 0-0 until the last minute or 2 of the first half. Fort Madison ended up winning that 4-0, but you could tell that Fairfield's kind of chugging along.
Yeah.
We said last week there without Andrew Tuhill, who would have been one of the best strikers in the conference
For sure. Yeah, and I feel like it's gotten a little closer. Last year it was kind of Fort Madison was playing real. Obviously Washington was, they released the soccer rankings. Washington was 8th, and Fort Madison was 3rd.
Yes.
And that game was a one goal difference.
Yeah, 1-0 last night.
1-0 last night. So I mean, that just shows how good those two teams are.
2-1. Sorry,
2-1. Yeah. That just shows how good those two teams are. And then obviously, you got Fairfield, playing real well in their own right. So, yeah, I mean, really, it's anybody can win on any given night. It seems like in the SEC this season.
I agree. I think there are 4 teams in both that are more, that are a little older, a little more upper echelon. So the Fort Madison and Washington game last night, as we said, number 3 versus number 8. Fort Madison scored the first 2 goals of the game in the first half, but Washington came on. Not only did they cut that lead in half with a goal by Emmanuel Raimundo, but they outshot Fort Madison 12-7 in shots on goal, 19-16 overall shots. So they played right with them. Washington has not beaten Fort Madison in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games now, but they are, and that was the situation with Fairfield until a year or 2 ago. So the Washington's program is built up, and they're now right on the doorstep.
And it's kind of scary to think from other teams, is like I think they only have like a handful of seniors too.
Yeah, Washington's pretty young.
The majority of their players are still, junior, sophomores. So,
yeah.
Last year they were very young and they were very good. And obviously they've taken that next step. And Raimundo has been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, he has.
Now. And I believe, I have to double check. After that game, I'm not sure what the stats were, but I know him and Braden.
Brian Arrow
had the career, are both now Washington's career assist leaders, I guess. One had 19 assists and one had 18 assists. And before, I think the record was 14. So, after that game, I'm not sure you have to say the stats, what they did in that, but assist-wise anyway. But
right now, it says all of these are unassisted, but it's only 1 goal. But
long story short, they're playing very well. They have
they got squad. If you're ranked number 3 and number 8, that means that you're if it's at the end of the year, this could be a sub-state final, or even they could be good enough to where they get split up. So I'd say that Washington is. I think last year, you could tell they were still a little step back from Fort Madison, as you kind of said. Last night showed that they're right there. They could be a state tournament team if they're one of those teams. So, and then Mount Pleasant and Burlington last night, and I think you wrote the story on that. It was Mount Pleasant and Keokuk.
Yep.
A battle of those two teams that are kind of the up and comers that had a really rough time last year. They're trying to sneak up with those four. So how'd that go for the old Panthers?
Yeah, as you mentioned, a couple younger teams going at each other. It was kind of a slow start in the first half. It was 0-0 after the first, and really they both kind of picked it up in that second there, picked up the pace, if you will. But, Keokuk ended up winning it 3-2, 1 goal difference in this one. It really kind of came down to the wire, too. Keokuk came right out of the halftime, right out of the gate and scored 2 quick ones, put them up 2-0. Mount Pleasant never gave up. Freshman Dylan White, I saw you mention him in one of your stories last couple of weeks here. He's been playing phenomenal for the Panthers, kind of their main striker, main goal getter so far this season. With 18 minutes to go, he scored back-to-back goals to tie the game. And with just 3 minutes left, Keokuk came down on a counterattack and slipped one in the back of the net. And really, it was kind of like Mount Pleasant, just kind of ran out of time in that one since that goal was so late in the final minutes there. And so White had 15 shots on goal to go along with his 2 goals. Ronnie Sanchez finished with 3 shots. Ramsey Davis sent 2 towards the net. And then Ruiz-Mata finished with 12 saves in goal for the Panthers there. So they moved to 1-2 on the season, and they're going to play Burlington, as you mentioned, a pretty good Burlington team on Thursday. So, like you mentioned, Mount Pleasant, a pretty young squad. So, their years are kind of up and coming for those younger guys too. But they're playing some good ball here in the early season, and we're getting some good play out of the younger kids too. So
yeah, they have, I think, 21 out of their 38 or something kids in the program are freshmen. So they're one of the younger teams, and you can definitely tell the talent is there this year more than last year. I remember, so Rocco Russo is the current head coach for Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
The old head coach, Neil Smits, I remember it was either last year or the year before, said, in a couple of years, we see the program's going to get better. It just took a few years of rocky times there. So, but who's not going to be having any rocky times?
Who's that?
Our loyal watchers that stay for the 2-minute commercial that's coming up and support our sponsor. Yep. So we're going to be back in 2 minutes. We got tennis next on the docket. Yep. So we got 3 sports to go. So we got plenty of show left. Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hospice isn't a place, it's a type of care that focuses on living. Servicing a 7-county area, the Hospice of Washington County staff of nurses, social work, hospice aides, spiritual and grief support, volunteers, music and massage therapists are able to provide free end-of-life care where the patient lives. We write wills, give consent for organ donation, but rarely is there a plan for what we would want the final phase of our lives. At Hospice of Washington County, we encourage our patients to be in charge of their healthcare decisions while maintaining quality of life.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
Tammy takes the time and has the personal interest in each one of us. I don't worry about what's going to happen because I know my policy is taken care of.
She pulls what I need and puts it together, which is the program I get from her.
Every year she calls around September or so and says, there's changes again, and I'm going to do the best thing for you. It's been perfect. She does a great job.
We are back. Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk is live, and a rivalry. I don't know how many years in the making. I was just kind of goofing around yesterday, talking about it's Fairfield and Mount Pleasant back on the tennis courts last night. So it's our main. Well, we got Maharishi too, but it's our main soccer rivalry. Of course, Washington does not have tennis, so it was played last night. You were at the girls' game at Eastlake Park, and both teams were trying to get their first one of the season, I believe, and it looked like the visiting Trojans were able to get that done.
Yeah, it was pretty dominant performance by the Trojans. Only gave up 2 of the 9 matches played to the Panthers. Obviously, Fairfield lost. Help me out. Tess, who was one of the best players around here over the past 4 years.
Yep.
On the girls' side.
Peyton, by the way, if anyone
Tess Peyton.
needs to know.
But we saw a lot of the girls return from that team this year. Sydney Wells is now their number 1. She picked up a win over Ellie Sitameng. Or Sitameng. How do you say her name?
Sitimi Young.
8-4 in the number 1 match there. Number 2, Madison Griner. 8-3 over Mary Kate Peterson. Gatika Eddie Kari.
Oh, sorry, I should have helped you out with something.
Nope, sorry. I think I got it right. Looks like that anyway. Defeated Victoria Smith 8-6. Una Carter won the number 5 match for Fairfield. 8-3 over Bethany Drury. And then Mount Pleasant's 1 singles victory came from Audrey Richmond. I believe her second win in a row now. Richmond defeated Lola Hatchett 8-1 in the number 6 match. And then in doubles, the duo of Wells and Griner won a real battle between Sitimi Young.
You just have to do every syllable. You just got.
Yeah, I gotta say that a couple times around it. And then between her and Ava Roundsville, 9-7, 7-2 there, and then Gwendolyn Edkiari bested Peterson and Smith 8-4 on the second doubles match, and then the Panthers' second victory came from the duo Drury and Richmond, defeating Carter and Hatchett 8-5 in that one, and I believe. Let me see if I think I missed. Oh, never mind. I thought I missed one of the singles.
No, I think games, you got them,
but I think got her good. So
yeah, well there you go. And those are 2 teams that are missing their number 1s from last year. So there was a little bit of turnover, but it looks like Fairfield on the top the top games. That's where it seems like their advantages this year, which is funny because that's where their advantage was last year. Those top 1, 2, or 3 usually kind of. We're able to carry the weight a little bit.
Yeah. The boys are real good.
Yeah. So the boys. We haven't seen all the teams play against each other. Burlington is very good, but Fairfield and Mount Pleasant are definitely in contention this year. They've been rolling through SEC teams so far. They go against each other yesterday at Fairfield Middle School, and again the hiccups a little bit. But Mount Pleasant over Fairfield 7-2 last night. And this was a matchup of a couple of teams that have had some battles last year because they've got a lot coming back.
Yep.
Both Fairfield and Mount Pleasant have their top 2 back from last year, and a number 1 singles match. Owen Van Sickle and Garrett Flanagan have played a lot of these games or matches pretty tight against each other. Last night went to Van Sickle and Mount Pleasant 6-2, 6-3. And then in the number 2 match, Jace Haynes and Jake Insminger, Haynes of Fairfield, Insminger of Mount Pleasant, who have also played against each other a lot in singles and doubles. Yep. Haynes 6-1, 6-1. But then Mount Pleasant picked up wins the rest of the way in the singles to clinch things early. So Elliot Cook over Dill Hurlin 7-6, and that one in a tiebreaker, and 6-0. Phoenix Watson over Ethan Cass. That one was 6-0, 6-1. A little closer one here as Tim Cam beats Rylan Anderson 6-3, 6-4. And Gavin Ross over Nico Emerson 6-2, 6-0. So a match that you kind of expect that was going to at least go to the doubles was technically mathematically done in favor of Mount Pleasant until the doubles. Once the doubles came around, we had Insminger and Cook going for Mount Pleasant against Haynes and Flanagan. Haynes and Flanagan won 6-3, 6-3. Now, that was a little different than last year's conference championship doubles. Van Sickle and Insminger, who played against Haynes and Flanagan in the championship. Haynes and Flanagan won that one last year. Down to the number 2 doubles match, Van Sickle and Cam over Hurlin and Emerson. That was 6-4, 6-4. And then Watson and Ross for Mount Pleasant over Fairfield's Cass and Anderson 6062. So yeah, I thought that would be a little closer, team score wise. You kind of see when that Mount Pleasant's very depthy.
Yeah.
And that's been in their other matches this year. You can kind of tell like some of those top teams, which they have really good top guys, but some of those will be pretty competitive. But it seems like those bottom guys are kind of rolling through against SEC competitions. So they're looking good right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, last year we knew they were going to be good coming back, and it's kind of showing. And really they kind of proved last year that, for the Van Sickle and Flanagan match, Van Sickle, had a great match this time, but it's not going to say it won't go the other way because it showed it last year. So I think that's the most enticing, point about, at least we're looking at Fairfield and Mount Pleasant's number ones and kind of twos going at each other because really it's been back and forth the past couple of years. So it's kind of shaking that way again.
Yeah, it's fun to see when they have, when they have big years like they did last year. It's fun to see how they've kind of come along because I said that conference championship doubles. There'll be, a couple of the favorites in the conference again this year, and then you never know districts. They have all sorts of schools from everywhere come down to that one. They got Maharishi and Xavier and all sorts of teams to deal with. So that's all we got for some tennis coverage, and we're going to do another. No, we're not going to do a short commercial break.
Got some track.
We got a little track to talk
about.
Then
we got some golf.
I got some pizza in my mouth. It was a mistake because I knew I had to talk again, so I tried to cower it out. But while I finish this Pizza Hunter, you got any fun? How have you been feeling about track? You still feel? I think at the beginning of the year you speculated that we might have less competitions at Drake this year, and then I think you and I have both been learning a little bit, right?
It's changed.
Yeah.
We're seeing, I feel like I haven't seen track in forever now. I don't know why, but
because it's been like 4 days, which seems like forever in the spring.
Right now, at least looking at the SEC, obviously, Washington on both sides has been phenomenal. Mount Pleasant, has been performing well in a couple of events. Obviously, Will Davidson running the the 100 hurdles and 200, and Elijah Moore still holds, at least from last night, me checking, the fastest 400 time in the state. He did hold the 100, 200. That's since been broke by some 4A schools this past, I believe, as of last night.
Yeah.
And over the weekend or whatever. But yeah, I mean, really from our small schools, we have a lot of good athletes too. I mean, we could probably talk about this in all in one show too.
Yeah.
Columbus has some great sprinters, obviously.
Yep.
New London, Bowden Pickle, one of the fastest 100 times in the state. I believe he's now in 4th or 5th fastest time. But obviously Cade Benjamin, high jump and high jump. Yeah, I don't know, Winfield, Mount Union, you got Gabe Hemsworth.
Yep.
I believe he's punched his ticket to Blue Oval in the 400 hurdles. I talked to his mom, said he's going to be trying to go for the 400 tonight. Cam Buffington.
Really?
Yeah, long jump, obviously he's already clinched his spot at Drake for that, for the Drake relays and that, but... Yeah, I'm forgetting about a bunch of people.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I'm going to pick it up now because now I've done with the pizza and I actually have my sheet up that I should have had before. But I did cover the Washington meet. Kind of, in the spring, you guys see us probably for like 5 seconds and you're like, oh, yeah, I was talking to Andy or Hunter or whatever. Yeah. And then we're disappeared because we literally just run all over the 3 towns every single day to get pictures and info and stuff about these meets. But I was at the Washington meet for a while. Demons had a co-ed relay. And on the girls' side, it was won by Mid Prairie, who got pushed by Cedar Rapids Prairie.
See, I didn't even mention
Battle of the Prairies. Yeah, I know you didn't. 130 to 122. Mount Pleasant third, 109.5, and Washington fourth. They scored 90, so that's pretty darn close. In fact, Fairfield's there, 6th with 49. So you saw it's pretty tight, especially for a Mid Prairie win. Usually, you know, but I think that they went against 13 other teams, and so their wins, they're a little diluted to where teams could actually keep up with them a little bit. The men's, we didn't have anybody in the top 2, but Washington got 3rd with 104, Mount Pleasant 4th with 94, Mid Prairie scored 82, Fairfield scored 55, so we had teams up towards the top, and now I'm going to run through the winners here for you. Ready?
Yep.
Girls, 800-meter run, Ira Stahl, who Washington. Remind me to say the schools. I noticed last week that I just assumed that everyone knows where everybody goes to school. But a cross-country star in her freshman year, and all of a sudden she's out here putting up huge numbers in the 800, 2 minutes to 27.28 seconds. Mid-Prairie girls had a couple of wins out of Danielle Hostetler, as you would guess. 4:52.66 in the
Cross-country state
1500.
champion.
Yep, 3,000, 10:27.22. So same old with her. Sprint medley team of Madeline Schrader, Amara Jones, Jovi Evans, and Tabitha Evans won. So that's a 3-win for Mid Prairie. That shows how tight this race was, though. They only won 3 events,
Right.
and they won the team race against 13 others. So Mount Pleasant's Relena Van Duren, the 400 hurdles. She's gotten a lot of wins in the 400 hurdles, name that's really popped out lately. And then Mount Pleasant swept the throwing events. Can you believe that?
Wow.
A year separated from the Drake State, however many time champion Jaden Brumbaugh leaving the school, and they're still winning the throws. Ella Insminger wins the shot put. Savannah Slobodnik wins the discus. And then Fairfield girls had a win in the shuttle hurdle relay. Speaking of losing a lot of talent and still winning, Maya Lane, Lily Berger, and Haley Rainier and Maddie Martin win that one. And then Highland had 1 win in the long jump, and that was our
Sarah
Drake qualifier, Sarah Burton. What did you get third at state last year?
Third at state, I think.
Third at state last year. We didn't have the show last year, so I can talk about the fact that she was in the middle of her long jump, and then they ran, what was it, the 100-meter hurdles or 100-meter
Yeah,
dash?
she had to run and come back, and then,
And I think they lied to us both, because I think they said that she had qualified for the finals on the board.
Yeah.
And so we talked about qualifying for the finals after her long jump, and then we saw later on that she was 1 spot off of that.
Yep.
But she did it right in the middle of the long jump, which I thought was pretty cool. Didn't have to worry about that last night. Washington boys had 4 wins in the boys competition. Micah Reese was 2 of those. 1600 and the 3200 went to Micah. Ethan Patterson won the 100-meter dash, and Braden Hartman, 56 feet on the shot put. He is launching it, and I think that's one of our potential state champions this year if he can keep it up. So, in one of the throws.
And then the state leader is actually a kid from an area school that we don't cover,
From an area school.
like Southeast Iowa.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant Union area school.
no.
I was like, why aren't we covering them?
No, yeah.
There we go. Mid Prairie boys, Jace Yoder won the 800. Kane Brown won the long jump. By the way, Cade Brown
No,
jumped.
for the high jump.
There's a little bit of jump switchery because Cade Brown won the long jump, which he has before, but we know was a high jumper. And Mount Pleasant's Avon Trung didn't do the long jump; he was doing the high jump. And so there was a little bit of, what's that called, diversifying?
Yeah.
A little diversifying on the jumps. Mount Pleasant boys, Will Davidson won the 110-meter hurdles, ran a 14.73 on that one. And Fairfield boys took the high jump. Ryan Giberson clear 6 feet. And so every school that showed up there got a win there. It was a pretty even day.
All I got to say is we're going to be busy at Drake and State.
Yes, we will. Yeah, we will. And one thing I noticed about that meet is that there were a lot of people mismatched in different skipping their best.
We're seeing that a lot too.
Stuff.
I think it's kind of, we see the people, if they've already hit the Drake time, it's like, why put them in that event when they've already?
That's what I was going to say.
Why put them through it and risk something happening, whatever. But
Yep, exactly. And then once we get closer to Drake, you'll see them trend more towards running their main events to try and get better.
and
seats
we're gonna have
stuff like
we're gonna have potentially quite a few athletes running more than one event. I mean, 2-3 events probably. What's the max they can have? 4 or 5?
You can do 4 because remember last year Fairfield's Kelsey Pasha actually qualified for 5.
That's right.
But she could only do 4, which is really rare to qualify for 5.
Right.
When are the Drake relays this year? It's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
I clicked the schedule, and April 26th to the 29th, so we got a couple weeks before the Drake relays. They're sneaking up on us.
Yep.
And then obviously we got a little stuff in between, and then state coming up. So yeah, I'm a little exhausted from eating pizza and reading off names. Should we go to commercial break?
Yeah, should we? And then talk about some
We got some golf. We got some golf updates when we come back. So stick with us. 2 minutes on the commercials. We'll be back.
Protection is important, especially when you're talking about your dreams, which is why we're going to keep you covered with plans that can save you up to 23% when you bundle your home and auto. That's protection.
Family owned and operated by Andy and Sarah Ross, Ross Auto has been your vehicle repair and maintenance headquarters since 1935. We specialize in all makes of cars and light-duty trucks. With our variety of available services, let us help you keep rolling and your vehicle operating efficiently. Services include general auto repair, alignments, brakes, fuel injection, and more. Schedule your appointment today at 319-653-5656. That's 319-653-5656. Bring the kids and share the memories from steam engines, antique cars and trucks, tractors, gas engines, and horses. Maybe your memories are of great food from the North Village to the Log Village, or going to one of the amazing concerts. This is the place where memories are made. Make plans now to enjoy the history of the past at the 2023 Midwest Old Thrashers Reunion, August 31st through September 4th in Mount Pleasant. Visit oldthrashers.com for more details.
First. Welcome back. I was going to sing Welcome Back from Welcome Back Kotter, but then YouTube has like robots out there, right? Patrolling the world to make sure you don't copyright infringe their music.
Yeah, we might get hit.
I dare YouTube to come after us. Think they got more power than Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk. If you're watching this, you're watching on YouTube at Washington Live or Facebook. All the same people own the same stuff, so we'd be offending all of them if we that little jab went to everyone.
Yeah.
So don't think Zuckerberg's okay with us taking shots at YouTube. They're probably in business together. We're on Facebook at Washington Live, Mount Pleasant Live, and Fairfield Live. I forgot the one I left off for a second. Spotify at Washington Live, audio and video. Hunter, you know what I like that the Southeast Conference does these days?
What's that?
They all just golf at the same place.
Yeah, I love that too.
It used to be that they went around and they golfed and somebody'd be here and somebody'd be there and somebody'd be there. And then we get the story list and it'd be a million stories. And then a couple years ago, they decided, why not just all golf at the same place every week?
I mean, it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Because it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And they're all in Lee County yesterday.
Yep.
And
Fort Madison.
Down in Fort Madison were the girls.
Great golf course.
Yes,
Schaefer.
Great. Yeah, Schaefer's great. Iowa Wesleyan holds their annual meet at Schaefer.
Yep.
And so how did the girls do from what we know? Because I think we don't have scores in from Burlington. No.
Well, Burlington didn't post a team score because they.
Oh, okay. We have scores from everybody else. Fort Madison doesn't look like they have single scores. So, but we know who won.
Yeah, it's kind of the story we've seen so far this year is kind of shaking out pretty much every week the same so far.
Yep.
Washington. Pretty much the top team right now in the SEC. They take this one with 172 points. Fairfield's been jumping from kind of second and third back. I believe they got second the first meet. I believe that was in Washington. This week they put up 200 points for third. Mount Pleasant posted a team score for the first time. Never posted a team score last year. They got 4 girls going out. They posted 233 for fourth. Keokuk took second with 195, Fort Madison 262 for fifth, and Burlington did not post a team score, but they did have the medalist Lauren Briggs, one of the best golfers in the SEC. I believe she made state last year. Her and the biggest thing I've enjoyed watching this year is her and McKenna Conrad of Washington going at it. Because,
I agree.
The last 3 meets, those
Kalen Long too.
Yeah, Kalen Long's right there too. But those kind of 3 have literally been 1-2 strokes within each other close to each other, I guess. But this week it was even closer as far as Briggs and Conrad go. Washington's McKenna Conrad shoots a 39. Briggs shoots a 39 as well. Kaylin Long has literally came in third, I think, every single week too, from Washington. She shot a 41, I believe, last week. It was 1 stroke separated her and Conrad in that one. Also for Washington, Adeline Long, freshman, talked about her a lot during basketball. Shot a 45. Alicia Goff, 47. Macy Williams, 49. Mallory Johnson, 51. And that looks like that is it from Washington. For Fairfield, their highest shot on the day was 45 from Viola Welsh. Maya Toohill shot a 47, state qualifier last year. Maggie Rayburn, 54. Petit 54, Macy Rayburn 56, Sarah Kretz 61. And then for Mount Pleasant, Kylie Walderbach 48. Let's see here, Ashlyn Buengchamp 56, Elena Holkamp 61, and Felicity Metcalf 68. So as far as team wise, Washington looking pretty good. Been posting some high scores, some low scores. I believe Conrad's in the top 10, or along with Briggs of Burlington are both ranked inside the top 10 as lowest scores in the state for girls right now. I'd have to double check see what other people shot around the state last night, but over the weekend, that's what it was. So there was some really good golf being played around this area, especially.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny when you say you were rolling through the names and you say Sarah Kretz from Fairfield. I always pipe up because it sounds like you're going to say Sarah Kretzinger, my wife. Yeah. Like, what? I didn't know she played. But anyway, speaking of the little Lee County golf, the teams were in Keokuk last night. It's the one weird round of the conference season where we don't go out and take pictures of golf because they're both in the Lee County places. So I kind of felt weird yesterday not going to any golf.
That's me too.
But stayed a little longer at tennis, so it was okay. The boys, you talk about the way that the Washington girls have been.
Yep.
Washington boys, as we kind of figured, have been right up there in the boys. Absolutely. They've been winning every single one. Let's see, they've played 3 conference meets. Washington won last night, but
Fairfield looked really good.
Not as easy as it has been for the old Demons. They pulled out, shot 156. And then 5 strokes back with the Fairfield Trojans at 161.
Yep.
And then only 10 strokes back from Fairfield were the Mount Pleasant Panthers at 171. Yep. So, tightening up a little bit. Keokuk 193, Port Madison 206. I think it's been mostly between the 3 teams. Keokuk and Mount Pleasant have kind of traded off.
Yep.
With Fort Madison and Mount Pleasant. They traded off. No, Fort Madison and Mount Pleasant have traded off a little bit this year. But for the Demons, Rajon Roth, 36, winner. He beat Roman on this day, and Roman Roth of Washington and Max Wheaton of Fairfield both shot a 38. We're going to we'll go down Washington scores first. So we said 36-38, 40 for Drew Conrad, 42 for Isaac Vetter, 43 for Teague Meyer, and 44 for Luke Beanblossom. You know something that makes them so tough?
What's that?
They do not have just the 4 guys that always score. Some teams have 4 guys.
Yep.
They're going to score. You ride or die with those 4. Washington clearly can have any 4 guys.
Because it's like, in the first meet, Luke Beanblossom was the lowest score or the highest score they had. And I'm pretty sure in the first meet he finished 3rd. So it's like
it goes back.
That's why they're so dangerous, is because if they all shoot their potential too, they could. Be in the state.
And that makes a huge difference when the big meets come, when the district and stuff, it's all about having depth when you go to the stronger courses where you have, if someone pulls a Brooks Koepka and melts down for 12 holes and costs a local sports editor money, then you need somebody to step up. So that's big for Washington. Back to Fairfield, we said Max at a 38. Sam Wheaton and Dev Eisner with each shot 40. Now Christensen 43, Austin Lisk 44, and Landon Nordruff shot a 47. So a little, not quite a carbon copy of the Washington lineup, but you see something similar there. They're all in the 40s. They're all within 9 strokes of each other. Mount Pleasant, Nick Matheny gets up there. He shot a 36, which put him right there with Rajon Roth. I missed him when I scanned through the individual scores, but tie first there, Nick Matheny, former SEC champion himself. Nate Dismang shot a 41. Reese Kaufman shot a 44. Those have been the big 3 for Mount Pleasant this year. And then the next 3 down have improved here. Ben Mader with a 50, Isaac Zillman 56, and Jason Rich with a 57. Yeah. So
I think we, especially looking at this meet, we've seen some really improved scores. From pretty much all the teams, actually, I would say. So,
which is let's see, they golfed in Fairfield, then Fort Madison, and then Keokuk.
But they haven't won Washington yet. Nope.
I haven't done Washington yet. Is Keokuk easier than? Is that an easier course? I'm trying to think. I haven't played at Keokuk. I played all the other ones.
I haven't played there either.
Maybe I'll go play Keokuk right now after the show.
Let's go.
Get a little scouting. So walk up, say, no, this is for media purposes. I'd like to play 36 holes. And miss a lot of calls from everybody wondering where I was at. They'll be in Mount Pleasant on Thursday because today's Tuesday.
Yep.
We got a lot of stuff going on Thursday. I'm already starting to get a little stressed out about how much stuff.
Tonight's not too bad, but
Yeah, but Thursday's going to be wild. So anyway, that's it.
that's all we got.
That's all we got for you, people. What do you want more of us? We just you guys say dance and we dance. That's all we got on the list. So what do you want from us, huh? We're done. No, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk rant free this week, so that's nice. It's been a couple weeks since we've not gotten a little emotional.
Yeah, I mean, we've got there's some good news in the rumor mills of the transfer portal.
Yeah. Oh, for the girls and the boys.
Portal, yeah, for the girls and the boys.
Men and the women, because we're talking about Iowa.
Former number 1 recruit from Stanford. That's the biggest rumor for Iowa right now. But
Iowa men got a first teamer.
Haley Van Lith going to LSU, so that would really suck. But
yeah, that would. I'm going to conveniently, if Iowa gets a good transfer, I'm just going to say that was good by us and that they saw us on the TV and they want to come. If LSU gets a good transfer, I'm going to tweet something about meddling. They were probably texting them before it was legal. Anyway, no, the rant free. We got the pepperoni pizza here.
We're relaxing.
And we're relaxing.
Yep.
So, Nick, if we covered everything, thumbs up, we've covered everything. Nobody got to see Nick today because we're done with March Madness. But we'll come up with excuses to get him in. If we see the ratings take a big dip after this episode, we'll make sure that Nick's in.
Say hi to Andy tonight.
I was see, now you're calling me out a little bit because I was going to take a long trip to Kelowna for golf. And I kind of forgot we have the show and team pictures today, and so I'm questionable to be in Kelowna today.
Come say hi to Hunter at Fairfield.
Come say hi to Hunter at Fairfield. I was going to talk to you after the show. I looked at my schedule, and I was like, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to drive the hour back today, so we'll see. But I kind of forget the show's on Tuesdays now. It takes a while for us to figure it out, too. But then on Thursday, come see us anywhere because in all 3 of our big cities, our big old cities, we're going to have we have unmissable stuff in the 3 towns.
Yeah.
There's only 2 of us, so forgive us if you don't see us for very long. We're probably going to be running and taking pictures there. So, that's it, right? If I look a little disheveled, by the way, I don't want to go on a rant when I said no rants, but I was dealing with a bird in my house today. Not in the house. It's in the ceiling. It's in the walls. And I don't know if he's trapped there or if he's nesting.
Oh, God.
So if my hair looks a little crazy today, it's because I was too afraid to shower this morning, if we're going to be honest. I thought he was going to attack me. But, well, dang it. We went pretty good without going off the rails. Now I'm talking about birds.
Every time at the end of the show. Yep.
Next week, we're just going to end it like we were going to end it.
Okay.
We're just going to say it's over. I'm going to read that last golf score, and I'm going to be like, we're going to cut to black, Sopranos.
We're not even going to say we'll see you next week.
Nope.
We'll see you.
But we'll see you next week.